So the bookshop is for everyone. When I was younger, I always thought the bookshops were only for certain types of people, and these people were more like a different kind of class of people. Having the bookshop myself, I feel like I want it to be open to everybody, to have a lot of diversity. So even people that aren't used to going in bookshops or they're not familiar with it, I want them to be able to come in and feel comfortable and like have fun here. And that's why we have lots of different things here. We have many different people working here with different interests, and we try and put some creative energy into it and make it an interesting place to be. We also include some humour, so we put humorous signs around related to books. We want the experience not to be like dusty and boring, but like quite exciting. That's why we put like say books in the ceiling, because we just thought it's a nice talking point, which is something you spotted, and then it makes you ask the question, why have you got books in the ceiling?
Yeah, and then you get to answer.
Yeah. What books do you choose to go on the ceiling? So we said Margaret Atwood that wrote The Handmaid's Tale, which is a feminist dystopian book. And we try and get people to talk and think, like away from the norm.
Very articulate, and there's lots of supernatural elements, but also quite existential elements. So this character is very down to earth and he's a very practical thinker, but then a lot of the time he's thrown into all this supernatural haywire, and it just goes,
this
it
passage
goes all over the place.
kind of comes in the middle section of To the Lighthouse. It's a kind of infamous middle section of the book where the narration kind of stops being narrated in the way it was in the first half. There's no third person narrator, it's very abstract, and some people actually question the necessity of this random middle section.
So, the truth rushed down on me like a burying avalanche. I was not a poet. I felt no consolation in this knowledge, but only a red anger that evolution could allow such sensitivity and such inadequacy to coexist in the same mind. In one ego, my ego, screaming like a hare caught in a gin. Taking all the poems I had ever written, page by slow page, I tore each one into tiny fragments.
Until it seemed as if the universe were battling and tumbling in brute confusion and wanton lust aimlessly by itself.
Poetry had always seemed something I could turn to in need, an emergency exit, a lifebuoy as well as a justification. Now I was in the sea and the lifebuoy had sunk like lead. So he's not happy, but he puts it very well. So
I knew that there wasn't a bookshop in the area, and you can just see that in the last like 15 years the area has changed a lot, and there are more kind of literary types here, more people that are interested in learning. And because of that and my background as a writer and a publisher, I thought it would be nice to set up a bookshop. And when I was a student in the past, I worked in bookshops, so I've had experience of working in bookshops. It seemed like an easy thing to do. Okay, my favourite thing of working in the bookshop is meeting people, because everybody that comes in is like really lovely, and they all chat about different things, about their personal lives, and what books they like, what they find from different books, and there's a real like strong community element. In the bookshop it's like quite rewarding, because you feel as though you're giving something to people, and when you give something you always feel like you're getting something back, so it's a nice reciprocal process.
Yeah. What would you say your favourite book is?
It is, I can go do it on eBay or whatever,
Yeah.
but I like books that just find me, and so this is why I love coming into bookshops like this, and that was one of those.
David Trifford too.
Yeah. And but I never got around to reading that one. Of course, I loved the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I actually finally got around to reading that quite recently.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating. I mean, the chap who wrote that, he wrote this book in the late 60s.
Yeah.
I think it was. And a lot of the things that he sort of